We
Oh, good morning, my teacher King Family. How is everybody today? Hope you're well. I'm still waiting to hear on the apartment. I had talked to them as I came on yesterday, and it's a very busy apartment. I think they have 3 or 4 sites, and they have AI, so they have, that's useless. So they probably have a low staff. And she was supposed to get to it last night. So I still get to it today. They know I want to get, make sure because I'm out of here May 1st. So they know that I've got to find a new place. And if I don't get a answer here in the next few days, I'm just going to look for a new place because I won't have a choice. So we will see. But otherwise, hopefully I get it. If I don't get it, I'll hopefully find something else, or I guess I could just stay here and, hopefully get a different neighbor or a chance to move to a different apartment that's on the second floor. But I'd like to get out of here. There, it's good. It's like I said, it's $300 cheaper. Basically, what they did was they did a background check on me, but it said, well, he doesn't have enough income, and I'm like, but I'm retired. Of course, I'm not going to make $5,000 a month on income. That's why I put other income of gold of $5,300, and I saw it on the report. It was like $413. I'm like, where are you getting that number from? That was that number. What are you taking 500 divided by 12? But it's monthly, the 5,300. I mean, that's what they're asking, monthly income. So I said, well, let's put one gold coin down, and that'll cover that if I need to. So anyway, she said, well, we don't really use all of the report. So she should have told me, we're just looking at background check and crime and your credit and stuff like that, which is fine. Like I said, I've been here for 4 years. I think I'll get it, but we'll find out. Hopefully by the end of the day. I don't hold my breath. It's sort of like, well, when they're ready, they'll tell me. In the meantime, my only option is then to look for another place and be very clear. I'm retired. I get Social Security, and that's it. So what's with this? 866-5104. Let me just listen to this message.
Please enter your password, then press pound. You have 2 new voice messages. First voice message sent today, Wednesday.
I think this is the apartment. That's why I'm taking it.
At 9:31 a.m. from phone number 7342. Message erased. Next message sent today, Wednesday, March 11th at 10:10 a.m. from phone number 86693251004. Duration 27 seconds.
Hey, it's Taylor from Carta Health. I am super excited to connect with you and help you.
Message erased.
Sorry, it's the wrong phone number. I apologize for that. Normally, I don't take the calls. I thought it was, I saw the call, but it was Carta Health, which is just they're soliciting. So it wasn't the apartment, which I would have been strange that it went to voicemail. Those are the block numbers go to voicemail. So let's look at gold and silver. Why silver went up to 89 and why it's back down to 85. It's all options. It's all bullshit. gold, 10 o'clock's coming up, 51.86. It was 52.30 yesterday. Why it drops, it's this option game. This is the problem with options. You're not really getting a real price or a fair price. And here, silver, so it's somewhere between 80 and 90. It won't break 90, or it does for a minute, and then they short it down. And it's such a small market. If somebody makes a big play, that's why it drops $1 or $2. So we'll see 51.86. So we're still, the other day it wasn't even my when I got my thing, it was 5,000. It was 5,100. So we're 51.86. And it's 10 o'clock and 85, 58 silver. Again, I would just it's going to break through this war and everything else. It'll jump. Let's look at Bitcoin. And Bitcoin's at 70,000 now. So it's 73, it's 67, 70. It's all over the place also. And let's check the stock market. And the stock market just opened. What is that at? So it's 47,000, which is ridiculous. It should never be there. So it's the same story with COMEX, with these options. It's just really stupid. How do you? We're getting it up. I mean, again, I bought gold at 1900. So it's at, is it 50? Is it 51? Is it 52? Is it 55? Somewhere in that neighborhood. But this is the problem with COMEX. You're not really getting a fair price. And the question is why is COMEX pricing physical gold and physical silver? The whole intention was to price fix gold and silver by having COMEX, as opposed to a real free market. The free market, when it initially went, it went from 35 to 800. That was the free market. But they couldn't afford it if people then, so if the rest of the world came in with their dollars and said, good, it's 800, I want my gold, they couldn't, they would have ran out, and they didn't want to give them 800. So they price fixed it. So the rest of the world, because everything was, the dollar was the reserve currency. So if you had British pounds or French francs, you would say, here's so many francs, I want gold. And you got $800 an ounce for it. So that's why they price fixed it way back then, but it needs to be updated, as most things never get updated. But now to price physical in paper is ridiculous. And to think that it's the real price is even more ridiculous. So we know it's going to go up, and the banks are still buying it. I don't know how much is left that the banks buy. I don't believe there's that much left that they can buy, but we will see. These wars are very expensive. War is very expensive. And every time you fire a missile or a Tomahawk or whatever, it's $1 million or so. And, then you've got to replace them. And there is no replacement. We don't have an inventory. We gave it to the Ukraine. And he said, well, we'll just go make more. Yeah, but it takes like a year to make another one. They're very delicate, and you need the silver and that. Are they keeping silver down so they can buy it? I don't think so. I mean, how much silver goes in? And then you're talking about, is it $80 or $90? It doesn't really matter. They probably get it from the government anyway. So, yeah, that's a hard one to say. But it takes, I guess it takes about a year to make new Tomahawk missiles and the other missiles. And the planes probably take years to make when they get shot down, and the boats. You got the men, nobody wants to serve. So we won't have a ground force. That will never happen. And in the Ukraine, we tricked the Ukrainians into fighting the war for us. I don't, Zelensky, why they're allowing Zelensky to do that is beyond me. He shouldn't be allowed to still be running. I have an idea for Jenna. Her son got kidnapped by the Ukrainian Gestapo, the secret police, the SS, and they just took the kid off the street. So I have a friend who I met at a Lifetime. He's a Ukrainian guy, and he had friends in the military. He had a general friend. He showed me on Skype once. The general. So if he's still there, can he get this kid and save him from a certain death? I don't know. He'll die. They won't train him. They'll give him here's a gun and go fight the Russians. He's like, what? And I told her to tell him to just surrender to the Russians. They won't kill him. Otherwise, he's going to be dead. And otherwise, I don't know what the Ukrainians are saying as far as if you surrender, we'll kill you. So he's pretty much dead unless maybe my friend who knows a general can say, hey, can you save this kid? Here's payment in lieu. Here you go. Here's payment for that. They'll like the gold, but I don't know that 5,000 would be enough, but why not? They're greedy bastards. So I got to try that, but I got to do it soon because he won't last a week. And he was just taken, I think, Sunday. I warned her that was going on, and that's been going on for a year. They're taking kids that are 14, 15, 16, putting them in the military. Now, this kid's 18, putting them in the military, no training. Here's a gun, go fight. And 70-year-old men. So I'm glad I didn't go there. She wanted me to come there. I says, I can't live in the middle of a war. Are you kidding me? So that's what she wanted, but I couldn't. I'm not stupid. It'd be hard enough to live in Romania, which is right next to the war. But that I could have seen before this, but this is crazy. So the only option is to go to this friend of mine who I haven't talked to in a few years and say, hey, is there anything you can do? The general. And he says, no, fine. He says, yes, then maybe we have a chance. But if anybody could help, he could. So again, I'm just problem solving, going, how can I save this kid? And the only way would be the guy who knows the general, and the general says, hey, let Joe Bob, let's not send him, let him go home. And so don't take him. And they probably wouldn't, but again, we'll have to see. Anyway, so that's what's going on there. I feel bad. Otherwise, I got a lunch at 12:15, so I'll be out of here about 12 o'clock-ish. That's why I'm on a little early. This war, Iran's winning. This is like Russia. Russia's up, now they're up 93-0, right? They've won the war, basically. And I think they're going to take Kiev, and that'll end it. They don't want the war. I mean, Putin really is not a warmonger. He just wants business. He wants to sell his gold and oil and everything else. Trump wants the defense contractors to make money. So he's looking at it as a businessman. Let's have wars so people will need weapons and we'll sell it to them. I mean, that's how Trump looks at it. There was a clip where he's saying they murdered, they shot into a girls' school, murdered 160 young girls, 6 to 12 in an elementary school. And he's saying, well, I think it was the Iranians. No, it was you, Trump. The U.S. fired into a school. Now, I think they did it by accident because they had bad intelligence that it used to be a Navy base, but not anymore. Now it turned into a school for young girls, and they didn't know that. So they bombed it thinking it was a Navy base, and then they killed 160 young girls. but he won't admit it because he's a fucking liar. Yeah, these politicians, they're just full of shit. We need a new government. We need a government that goes by the Constitution and it's competitive, meaning we need 2 or 3 governments, right? We need them competing against each other. And Democrats and Republicans are the same. They're not competing against each other. One's not better than the rest. They're both scumbags. They're both on the payroll of the defense contractors. And it's very, very bad, the government. They don't use the Constitution. We're at war. We haven't been authorized. The Congress has to send you to war. That's what happened in World War II. FDR wanted to go into war, but he couldn't. They wouldn't let him, so he let Pearl Harbor happen. So now he said, okay, now we got to go into war. They bombed us. They declared war on us. We have to do it. Here, Trump's just going to war. I mean, and Pete Hegseth says, we're winning. No, we're not winning. We're getting our ass. We're winning. We're down 38-0. We're winning. We don't have weapons to last through the week. The Strait of Hormuz is closed, so gas prices, I don't know about here, but they will, the gallon will go up. The barrel will go up. I showed you it was 110 and went back down to 90. I saw gas yesterday. It was 360. Now it's back down to like 350. So I think it's calming down. There will be less supply of gas, but there's a lot of gas. I'm talking unleaded gasoline for your car. The energy, I don't know if the heat and your heat and air conditioning and gas are going to go up. I assume the gas will a little bit. So have an electric stove. So you have that. So costs will go up. Now, that's not inflation. People don't understand it. Well, our inflation's going to go up. It's going to no, that's not inflation. That's the market. If there's a shortage of silver, as there is, and this starts going up, that's not inflation. That's based on the market, right? If there is too many steaks on the market and they're selling them for $20 and nobody's buying them, then they lower it to 10 and everybody buys. That's the market. So if there's a shortage of bananas and now they're $5 for a banana, that's not inflation. That's a shortage in the market. And then it's up to the customer if they want to pay $5. So if you have, because of the market, a shortage and the price goes up because of that, that's not inflation. Again, inflation is only money printing, making the value of the dollar drop. There is no wage inflation. There is no this inflation, that inflation. There's one inflation, money printing. You print the money, this is worth less. You're inflating the money supply. You're not inflating the wages. You are not inflating anything else. So keep that in mind. That is the whole point of it. This is the inflation. So when you see prices for gas go up, that's not inflation. That's caused by a shortage in supply, and demand is the same. So if you short supply and the price goes up, that's the market. That's short supply. That is not inflation. So anytime anybody sees price going up, they think it's inflation. They're just wrong. They don't understand it. And that's why I turn off so many people. If I'm on their video, if I'm watching their video and they start saying that shit, I turn it off. I go, you don't even know what inflation is. So it makes it very difficult for me to watch a lot of this. These idiots think inflation is prices going up. It's not. Especially here in the war, if the supply of oil goes down and the price goes up, how is that inflation? You're not inflating anything. Your supply is less. So this is where I just shake my head at the guys. Now I did see Egon's listening to me. There's no question, because he said inflation is not prices going up. It's the money being printed, making the value of the money drop. And Egon said that. And I go, yeah, where did he get it from? He got it from me, because he wasn't saying it before. Everybody thought it was prices going up. So everybody thinks inflation is prices going up because the government wants you to blame the consumer. It's the government's fault by printing the money, making the value of the money go down. but they don't want to take the blame for it. And they try to fool you, which is all they do. And they want you to blame Kellogg's for the price going up. Oh, it's Kellogg's, it's not us. But it is that they print too much money and the money's worthless and the value of the money drops, which then makes you need more money to buy the goods and services. But never is that the inflation. Pop-Tarts going up to $2 or Oreo cookies or Coca-Cola or any of those. They might raise their price because they know the dollar's worth less and they're trying to get the amount out of it. But they can only do it if they can. Again, if nobody's going to buy the Coke at $3.50, it's 2 for $5. It's buy one, get one half off. And I see a lot of that, especially in my dark chocolate. My God, it's $6 a bar. Fuck off. I'm not paying $6 for the dark chocolate. So if I go to Walmart, it's $4.44 for a Swiss brand, and I get that. I'll pay $8 for 2 bars. I ain't paying $6 for 1 bar. Problem is I get a chocolate sweet tooth, and I've got to be careful what I eat. So it's probably better to not eat the dark chocolate because I can't afford to. I used to get 4 or 5 bars a week, and I have a couple of squares here and a couple. It was a good nighttime snack. It's 7 o'clock. It's dinner time. I have 2 squares of dark chocolate, but because I didn't want to eat ice cream and cupcakes and stuff. Anyway. So that's what your inflation. So the shortage of supply is not inflation of oil. It's a shortage of oil. So in the market, the oil market, the supplies went way down. The demand is the same. Price goes up. Now, why isn't it in here? Supply is short. The demand is huge. Why isn't this? Now, this went to 5,000, but it's really not going. It should be 10,000 by now. So we will see that. Anyway, so that's what they're missing on inflation. The wars, again, are very expensive because the missiles are so expensive. They're like $1 million each. Plus, we don't have any. They're coming out. Now, there's something in Israel I want to show you. We are being, what's the term? The conspiracy. So there's a conspiracy going on now about we're winning the war. And they're not showing us what's happening in Israel. That's not allowed to be seen. But I found a video that shows it.
Why are you investing in tax-liens? I mean, have you ever wondered why the wealthiest 1% are using tax
base resides? These are the images coming out of leveraging its own interests in the region, far from "quote unquote" supporting Israel, and that has always been.
This is Israel. It's being bombed.
Israel relationship. It has never been one of friendship and allyship, so to speak. It's always been about China balancing the fact that the U.S. is dominant in the region, and China is not about to let one of the biggest spy networks in the world that exists in Israel to be able to exist without Chinese, at least Chinese oversight. But here is Al Jazeera reporting on a strike as well in central Israel. There you can see that's the moment when the Iranian missile struck, and there were casualties out of this strike. I believe 2 people were killed in this and that there were others injured. But we're hearing now that these injuries, these casualties are now ranging in the hundreds in Israel. They are keeping a very tight censor over all of this imagery. And this doesn't even get to the fact that it's not just Iran hitting Israel now, it's Hezbollah. They are working actually in coordination, in tandem. They are launching joint attacks. Hezbollah has missiles, has drones. For one Iranian missile going up over the airspace. Now, it is much more difficult this time around than the 12-day war to get actual imagery of what has been happening in Tel Aviv and central Israel as Iran pummels it with ballistic missile fire. But nonetheless, Chinese workers who are there likely to build infrastructure or do repairs through contracts between Chinese companies and Israel, they have actually been recording what has been going on. And I want to show you what Douyin, Chinese social media, is able to show us that the U.S. mainstream media and, of course, Israeli media won't allow to be shown. Here's just one video going over just the absolute catastrophe that Iran is reigning over Tel Aviv as we speak.
There you go. You see all the missiles, and we're saying, oh, no, they're not using
I'm going to drop the
missiles.
volume because the volume can actually be quite loud and distracting. But this is the imagery that's coming out of Tel Aviv, and we're not able to see it because there's so much censorship going on in Israel. You can be in prison, you can be fined dramatically, you can be in prison for putting out images. And many have noted that the reason why Chinese workers are able to do this is because they are actually stationed far away from government buildings and security established infrastructure because they are not trusted by Israel. And that is a big part of the.
So there you have. There you have the U.S. censoring that, so you can't see that. Censorship. Okay. So that's what the Nazis used to do. Joseph Goebbels. Oh, we're winning the war. No problem. We'll beat Russia. Da 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 da. To keep the people from really understanding that they're losing, and then they look bad, right? That's why Hitler got to Argentina, because at the end of the war, you lost Hitler and he couldn't take that, right? Plus, they would have barbecued him. So Hitler ran like the coward he was, as opposed to facing it. But he's at the end, he just said, everybody fight. We need everybody to fight. Sounds like the Ukraine, right? Everybody fight. Everybody fight. Let's get the young kids and the old men and probably the women will start. Let's get them in uniforms and they can fight the Russians, even though the game's 92-0 Russia, and they're not about to lose. So that's what we have there. We have the censorship, like the guy on the radio not letting you talk bad about the Lions. It was like, fuck off. Free speech. I can say what the hell I want. You should not censor us. So I thought that was terrible. The guy on the radio saying that. But it's the same thing here, the censorship. Trump, we're winning the war. You know, we're not winning the war. We're getting killed. It won't let. We don't have any ammunition. It's like we have two running backs and they both got hurt. Well, we're winning the game. No, we're not winning the game. But you can't see the game. So you don't see what's happening. The Strait of Hormuz is blocked because insurance, they won't insure the ships because they're going to sink and the insurance companies will be liable. So they're not allowing, so the ships aren't passing. So the oil has to go the other way down all the way past Africa and come back up. And so instead of cutting through, they got to go all the way around, which, you know, the supply shouldn't be hurt, but it will be the cost of the shipper to go around is going to be more costly. Although I also heard that some of the refineries in the UAE, the refinery got hit, and basically they're not going to be making oil anymore. So there is oil coming off the market just because they can't produce it, not necessarily the Strait of Hormuz. So keep that in mind. The dollar is, you know, we know the dollar's worthless. So we have to understand that. What we're doing is we're preparing for the dollar collapsing. We know it is. It's sort of like we're playing poker and we don't have anything, and the guy's making big bets, and we know we lost the hand, right? We know the dollar's collapsed. They keep printing it. All these wars, it's very expensive. So we know the dollar has no value. So we either wait for the boat to sink and then say, oh, the dollar's worthless. Your bank account's blocked. You can't get your stocks out. What are you going to do? We're 5 steps ahead. We bought our gold and silver, and we're using that. Again, in my apartment, this new one, she says, don't you have a pension? I says, that's the gold and the silver are the pension. I sold my stocks and bought gold with it. It's the prudent thing to do if you understand it, which they don't understand it. That's why I showed them the $5,000 a month as the value of it. So I didn't think I even needed to say it. It was just an add-on. Anyway, so anyway, we'll wait to hear on that. But we know that that's happening, right? We know these wars are bad. They're expensive. They're really stupid because you want to do business. You want to do business with people. You don't want to. So what the U.S. is doing to get out of debt, we're going to try to invade countries and steal their oil. Because it's the only way we can do it. And we're at war because Israel said, hey, let's go to war. We're not even at war for ourselves. Right? So that's one problem. But it's not a good business move. Again, if we own an ice cream shop, we don't want to say you can't come in. Anybody that wants to, we want your business. That's the beauty of Austrian economics and capitalism. You really get rid of any racial or what do you call it? Racism or racial or anything. Everybody's your customer. I can't think of the other word, but basically discrimination, right? You don't discriminate. You got money, we'll let you in. We only discriminate against people who don't have money. You don't have money, you can't come in. But if you have money, come on in. That's the same thing I do. If you want to give me $10 for my picks, you can't come in. But if you want to give me, $100 or $75 for my picks for the week, then sure, come on in. I don't care what you are. You're a customer. You got money, fine. But if you don't have money or you want to nickel dime me, I'll give you $10. No. This is what it costs. It's like going to the gas station. Well, yeah, it says $3 a gallon. How about if I can give you $2 a gallon? Can you imagine these idiots going to a gas station? Yeah, $3 is a little high. Can I give you $2? And just the gas station look at you like you're out of your mind. It's the set price. This is what it costs. You want it? That's what you pay for it. And that's my point. You want my picks? This is what you pay for it. If you can't afford it, you can't buy the picks. That's why I give you a free pick for all the people that can't afford it. I give you a free pick. Anyway, so that's what happens in that. But things will get pushed up. But anyway, we want to do business. We don't want any type of discrimination or racism because that's the beauty of it. It's, do you have money? I'm blind. You got $100 for my picks. There you go. You got questions? I'll answer them for you. How about a 5-team teaser? There you go. So you do that a lot. You don't, oh wait, you're this or that. I can't take your action. No. I don't care. But that's how it is in a free market, right? If we own an ice cream store, we wouldn't care. As long as you got money for the ice cream, I don't care what you are. Come in and buy. So you have these wars, and it's the stupidest thing. Here, Trump's trying to do tariffs, which is terrible, and then he's trying to do wars to generate income, people buying missiles. Like everybody's going to run and buy a missile from you. which takes a year with the wars going on now. And it's just terrible. So it's not good business. Thinking that the selling weapons is a good business instead of computers or phones or other things is just ridiculous. So anyway, and keep your eyes on AI, like with this apartment. AI answers the phone and it's terrible. They can't answer any of the questions. It's stupid. Well, I don't know that. You'll have to talk to a real person. I go, yeah, give me the real person then. Like I said, I was going up north when I went up north last summer, and I called the property just to see, is your pool open? Because sometimes the pool is under construction, because in the summer you have the lake, but I like the pool also and the hot tub. And so I call up and I get AI and I go, is the pool open? They go, I don't know. You'll have to call back and talk to a real person. And they give me this other number. So it's pretty useless. AI is it's not even accurate. Same thing at the apartment. I kept getting AI, kept texting me, oh, well, we don't have any apartments available. And I call up and the girl says, oh, yeah, we do. So there's apartments for me. That's not the issue. So, talking to AI is just, it's a waste of time. It doesn't really work. It doesn't solve any of the problems. It's only programmed. It's only what you program it for. So it's just really a stupid concept. But we'll get rid of people. Was that the goal? Is that your goal, running a business, to not have any employees and just have it all AI? And as AI tells the customers wrong information. So if I didn't go and I would have just called and AI says we don't have anything available, I would have went on and looked at another apartment. But because the gal came out and showed it to me and said, don't worry, we'll have it in May, then that's fine. So I'm able to, I know I have the apartment, even though AI is saying there isn't any, because AI is not programmed properly. AI is sitting there. They don't know what's available in May. They just probably know what's currently available. So again, there's a big problem with AI, and there's a big problem with war. You want to do real business. You don't want to do, well, I'm going to sell the weapons. That's my business now. I'm going to be warmonger. We're going to go to war so people will buy our weapons, and all I care about is them buying our weapons. This guy's out of his mind. This guy should be impeached and thrown in jail for what he's doing. All the government needs to be blown up. Like I said, we need competition. We need 2 or 3 governments and let them run it. That's the way Rome was initially. There was the president, or what did they call him, the council, and there would be 2 councils. So one would do 1 month and the other guy did the next month, and they kept rotating. That was the best system. And then they went to Julius Caesar, and then they went to dictatorship and emperor, and that's when it fell apart, because then there's no competition. Once you break rid of competition and you have monopoly, you're fucked. That's what happened in the central bank. Central banks giving us World War I, World War II, the Great Depression, Vietnam, Korea, these little wars, stock market crashes, 2008 crash. That's all central bank. They print the money to zero. It's worthless. The government allowed anybody to get a loan for a house. That was Clinton. Let the market run. So as soon as the government intervenes, and that's where we are now, is this intervention. As soon as the government intervenes, you fuck up everything. That's the problem with gold and silver. We're not getting a true price because the government's intervening with COMEX, and the bankers are playing their little games. Silver hit 90, let's short it. And it goes down to 85. Hey, it hit 85, let's go long on it. And it goes back to 90. You're like, well, what's the price of it? And then here comes BRICS, and they're all buying the shit out of it. Does these wars have anything to do with gold and silver? Well, I don't know. Let's analyze that. Let's problem solve it. So you have a war. You have to spend on weapons. and you have less money for gold and silver now, even though they print it. I don't know. I think if anything, it would make the price go up because people go to a safe haven. Yes, the wars are very expensive, and we're going to print our dollars, making the dollar worthless, which it already is. So therefore, I have to get out of the dollar because it is worthless, and I'll have to get into gold and silver. So it should move the price up if people understand it. I don't think anybody in the U.S. is fully understanding it. But there are, like the guy at my store had 4 ounces of gold in his case last week when I bought my silver. And he always has, like these. I got these and the Buffalo. And he had these, and he always has 20, 30 of them. I bought 4 and, 85 an ounce. I think we're under the impression it should just keep going. There's nothing to stop it. The demand's there. The supply's gone. Why is the price not going up? Oh, because it's options. Why is it options? That's the question that needs to be answered. Why are we still doing this ridiculous COMEX? Well, because the banks run it. J.P. Morgan, and he's the biggest criminal in the world. J.P. Morgan, this Jamie Dimon, he was with Madoff and everything else. They're very crooked. They're the ones who did the Federal Reserve, J.P. Morgan, so they could print all the money they wanted. They're the ones who, I think, in the Civil War, or I think it was World War I, they sold weapons to both sides. They just wanted the war. It's Sherlock Holmes too, right? Where the guy is selling weapons to both sides because it's a war. You need weapons, and I think that's how the U.S. thinks now. But that's what J.P. Morgan was doing, was selling weapons to both sides in World War I. That's why we had World War I. Most of these wars are bank wars. It's always about money. You're not just fighting to fight because they're very expensive. There has to be reward at the end. So World War II, we had to defeat Hitler. He went to war because he was broke and he needed to steal all the gold and silver and some oil. And he needed to buy iron ore for that and everything else. So that's why you had World War II. Hitler ran out of money. Otherwise, he'd have built up his machines. We let him go. Now, that was probably an inside job by Chamberlain and Britain. Instead of not letting him go, they probably paid him off with some gold. And he says, yeah, go ahead, do your war. Oh, we're going to sell you weapons too, right? So the wars are always about who's selling the weapons, right? Who needs the money, and it's always about stealing it. So instead of just negotiating, hey, you got oil, I'm going to buy your oil, and that, let's go to war. We're going to kill you and steal your oil. I don't know where they get this from. Just do business. It's always do business. Anyway, so that's what's happening with that. So I just wanted to show you what's really going on in Israel. I saw that clip yesterday. I think I showed you Egon yesterday. The financial system is about to collapse. I think I did. All right, let's go to the NBA. Some guy I've never heard of scores 83 points yesterday. But if you really analyze it, it was against Washington, who has no defense. So let's go through the games. Philadelphia 139, Memphis 129. Tyrese Maxey, I don't know which team he plays on. I think Philadelphia, out at least 3 weeks with a finger injury. If it was Isaiah Thomas, he would be playing. He would tape the finger and go. So this is these guys now are just ridiculous. So Philly wins by 10, Lane 4.5. Jonte TK Maxx trade got vetoed by Baltimore. So what, is he injured? The Max Crosby trade? How did they be? I thought it was a done deal. Anyway. So Philadelphia wins by 10, laying 4.5, so they cover. I think I mentioned it, but it's still too early for me to actually make sound picks. Right now, they're more analytical picks. Atlanta 124, Dallas 112, Atlanta minus 9.5. They win by 12. Again, Dallas with 21 wins and Atlanta with 34 wins. So you start betting on the 30 teams against the weaker one. Now, here's the game. Miami 150, Washington 121. That was my one lock of the day yesterday. Miami laying 15.5, wins by 21. And Bam Adebayo erupts for 83 points. And the reason is Washington has a very weak defense. And here they're 16-48. So Miami needed the games, put up 150. You're a little bit concerned that Miami gave up 129 points. The total in the game was 236. They scored 279. So it looks like you can bet over in the Washington games because they have no defense. So you got to be careful with that. Detroit 138, Brooklyn 100. So where was that at home on Saturday? So they get them there. I didn't really trust Detroit yesterday. Having lost to Brooklyn on Saturday at home, I didn't see this coming. But again, the Nets are terrible, 17 wins. Detroit, they're really not that good, but they don't play anybody. When they play good teams, they lose unless the good team rests their players against them. Houston 113, Toronto 99, Houston laying 4.5. So Houston, a pretty good team, it looks like. Toronto, 36 wins, 40 wins. Yeah, they're a good team. You expected a little bit closer game. Phoenix over Milwaukee. I guess there's two Giannis's, they're brothers or something. Anyway, the guy did play, and Phoenix won 129-114, laying 2.5. San Antonio, Boston. This game I actually gave was San Antonio, laying 3.5. They were at home. 125-116. So again, both teams pretty good. You're going to get a high-scoring game. That's what you got. Total was 221. Here you got 241. Chicago beats Golden State in overtime, 130-124. Chicago plus 5.5 wins. Mattis Buzelis scores 41 points. I assume he's on Chicago. I don't know. Steph Curry did play, but he comes off the bench, so he's just playing a little, I guess. So Chicago looks good on the road. Golden State, pretty weak. Charlotte and Portland. Charlotte gets the win, 103-101. I did like Portland as a home dog. I was looking at the score. They were up like 10 points, 15 points, Portland. And then in this fourth quarter, these teams don't know how to put it away, and Charlotte wins again. And I don't know. I don't see anybody on Charlotte's team that's any good. And Portland, they don't have Clyde Drexler anymore. So 103-101. But Portland does cover as a 2.5-point dog. Fixed game? I don't think so because Portland was winning. And so they would let them win, but you can't win by – well, actually, they were a dog. So, yeah, that was strange. Sacramento beats Indy. A battle of the 15 win teams. Sacramento was laying 3.5, won by 5. Again, I think we called that one. Just betting against Indy on the road going West Coast. Sacramento, not that good. And Minnesota and the Lakers 120-106. LA as a home dog, so I think I liked LA as the dog. Luca Brasi, 31, 11, and 11, a triple-double. Why do they make such a big deal about the triple-double? I mean, if it's done every game, it's not a big deal. It's never really been a big deal. Jordan probably did it every day. Magic, Bird, they probably did it every game. It's not, you get over 10 points, and then he gets, 11 rebounds and 11 assists. I don't get the big deal of a triple-double. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, that's basketball yesterday. So let's see what Johnny's talking about here. Max Trade he didn't pass the physical. Washington looked horrible. They weren't even trying on defense. Well, that's why they're the worst team. Baltimore signed Trey Hendrickson's now. Well, now he's got to pass the physical. Why don't they make him pass the physical first? So now when Oakland sat him out the last 2 games, he really was injured, because if he's still injured now, that was in January, and here we're in March, and the guy still can't pass the physical. So I would assume you're putting that in the trade. We take him per he passes the physical, but you almost should do the physical first and then the trade. What's the point? So you made a trade. It was a waste of time. I had a box of Kleenex here. Where the hell did it go? No, here it is. So I have this box of Kleenex down, and I'm like looking. It was behind the chair. I was like, what the fuck? So what was the injury for Max Crosby? Was it something, a knee injury that he's not going to be able to play, or he just needs to sit out for 6 months to heal? He needs to fast is what he needs to do. A lot of cayenne pepper and Celtic salt, and he needs a couple of week fast. As we know, the body is very good at fixing itself. Broken legs and broken arms, they all heal. So what does he have? A knee injury he is recovering from. Okay, so what's the big deal? So when the Raiders sat him out the last 2 weeks, he actually had a knee injury, and he cried about it. So I wouldn't let Matt Crosby. So Coach Pete's probably like, hey, I'm not going to let you play with a knee injury. So now they're going after Hendrickson. See any better? He was injured all year, supposedly. He's a crybaby. He doesn't want to play with Joe Burrow. He's out of his mind. So I think Baltimore's got big problems. They need to get the number 1 pick and pick up Ruben Bain from Miami and stop fucking around with these guys that are all injured. But Hendrickson's injured too. If Crosby's injured, he's got a knee injury. I don't know what to say. It'll heal, I think. Look at Hutchinson on the Lions. He looks like shit. You start hurting, you break your leg, you're not going to come back as you were. You broke your leg. It's not going to heal better than it was before the injury. This is what I warned people about with the Lions. All right, so let's go to Wednesday. So this is like baseball. I got to get used to this. There's too many games every day. Cleveland goes to Orlando. Okay. Cleveland 3.5, 226. Right now I'm focusing on the team. I'm not focusing on the total yet, although I am picking up Washington, really weak team. San Antonio scores a ton. So let's see. Cleveland 40 wins, Orlando 35 wins. They're 3.5. We hate the road favorites in any sport, unless it's Mahomes or Joe Montana, Tom Brady. 3.5. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's sitting out or not. The Raptors, Toronto goes to the Pelicans, New Orleans. Kind of names, Pelicans. Jesus Christ. We must name the teams after animals. Don't you love that? Toronto, 36 wins. New Orleans, 21. Toronto's a 2.5 point favorite. I like Toronto here. I think they're the better team. No, I think they're coming off a loss. Didn't they play yesterday? It's almost like you got to have the schedule out to see who played. played yesterday, yes or no, and then look at today's game. This is the problem. It's just too busy. There's too many games every day. Did they play yesterday or not? And does that affect them? Do I bet against them because they played yesterday just because they played yesterday? I don't think so. Some teams played very well at it. And again, it's just a basketball game. It's not really like football where it's a physical hitting. Basketball is just a nothing game. The Knicks at the Jazz. The Knicks 41 wins, Utah 20. It's at Utah. And the Knicks are a huge favorite, 13.5 to 20. I would like the Knicks because they've lost They lost to the Lakers, and then they lost to San Diego Saturday, Sunday, or Sunday, Monday. So they're off of a couple game losing streak, and they're at Utah. But it's a big number, 13.5. I don't want to touch that. Houston goes to Denver. Houston won yesterday. Denver lost to OKC, I think, Monday night. Denver 5.5, 231. They're at home. I think Houston hangs with them. They're both 40-win teams. And then their last game, or no, there's two more. Charlotte against Sacramento. Now, Charlotte came from behind and won yesterday. They're laying 12.5. Jesus. Against Sacramento with 16 wins. So 33 wins, 16. But they played yesterday. And, I wouldn't touch this game. 12.5. Here's where I'd go total if I knew totals at this. But 12.5 is a big number. Back-to-back games. You're probably headed home after this game. So I don't know. If it was like 4 or 5, I'd take Charlotte, but not 12.5 on the West Coast. No, thank you. You got to respect the West Coast. Minnesota goes to San Diego. Minnesota with 40 wins. San Diego with 32. San Diego is laying 1.5, 227. Now, Minnesota's got Anthony Davis on the team, or whatever his name is, Anthony Johnson, Anthony Carter, Anthony Edwards. So I like how they nickname him Ant, like we're supposed to know who the fuck that is, right? Ant. Just call him Anthony Edwards. So he's a difference maker. So I like Minnesota as a dog with Anthony Davis on the team. So a smaller schedule, but you kind of look at yesterday. So you got to be leery of the road favorites. We got to be leery of the fixed and the paid referees. So there's a lot to be leery of. And then the sit-out players. So I don't know when they announce they're sitting out. If it's now or later, that I'm not sure of. But that's what we'll look at. So that's NBA. Cleveland, Orlando, pretty even game. Toronto should win over New Orleans. That's a strange spread, 2.5. The Knicks should beat Utah, but they've been on the road, and now they are at Utah, which is high altitude, and it's a big number. Houston, Denver. Houston's probably a live dog. Charlotte, Sacramento. A little bit of a big number for Charlotte. They played yesterday. Minnesota, I like as a dog to San Diego. All right, let's go to the NFL. Raiders say Ravens have backed out of our trade for Crosby, who reportedly failed the physical. Max Crosby's surgeon says pass rusher is doing very well in rehab. So he is injured. What if Kyler Murray went back to baseball? Nobody would care. Nobody would notice. After failed Crosby deal, Ravens reportedly land prize defensive end Hendrickson. Free agency already has ruined many NFL mock drafts. Who gives a fuck about a mock drafts? Geno Smith goes to the JETSs. That's their answer. Romeo Dobbs and Patriots agree to a deal. Big deal. The Lions signed what's his name? The quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. So the Lions get the backup. What I would do is trade Golf so I could get Reuben Bain. I'd trade him to Oakland, get the first pick. I'd get Reuben Bain. Now I got my defense set, and I got Teddy Bridgewater as my quarterback. He's not any worse than Jared Goff. He's probably better. He's he's played well, Teddy Bridgewater. I didn't mind him at Louisville. So Ravens have backed out of the trade. Did they not know he had a knee injury and sat out the last 2 games? And with that, you're then looking at the surgeon says he's doing very well in rehab. So you're getting a guy who's injured. Did you think he was healthy? Do you think anybody that plays football is healthy? Baltimore should be they should be trading with the Raiders for their number 1 pick. They should give Lamar for the number 1 pick. Then they could draft Reuben Bain, and then Tyler Huntley's a better quarterback than Lamar anyway. So I don't know where the Ravens were going with this. Why is it a surprise he's injured? If anything, why is he, let's see. So Hendrickson, we know, is injured, right? Hendrickson reportedly agrees to a 4-year, $112 million contract with Ravens following the failed Max Crosby trade. Reportedly agreed to a 4-year, $112 contract as a free agent. The reported moves comes after the Ravens backed out of the trade with Oakland. Hendrickson can make up to $120 million with incentives. He will receive an additional $500,000 for getting to 8, 10, 12, and 14 sacks per season. Hendrickson is guaranteed $60 million as part of the deal. That's a problem. I wouldn't guarantee him anything. Now, didn't he take his physical? And apparently he's not fit. He couldn't play for my Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. So I think what happened is the Ravens wanted Hendrickson and then used the excuse that he was hurt. Hendrickson came on a little cheaper, and so they took Hendrickson instead of Max Crosby. I don't think the injury had anything to do with it. The Ravens backed out of the trade, reportedly due to poor medicals, which they would have known beforehand. Not a surprise he's got the knee problem that he sat out the 2 games. So wouldn't you have checked that out first, really? That decision was questioned by some around the league, as it was well known Crosby was coming off surgery at the time of the trade. Crosby's own surgeon went to bat for his patient. Why is he saying Crosby is doing well in rehab? The timing of Hendrickson's deal could suggest the Ravens panicked after missing out on Crosby, opting to instead go all in on Hendrickson. Well, they didn't miss out on Crosby. The fact that the deal came together so quickly could invite speculating the Ravens had buyer's remorse on giving up 2 first-round picks for Crosby and saw Hendrickson as a more desirable option, proving that, that was it. So what did they give up? What was the trade? Let's see. I don't like Hendrickson. I wouldn't have him on my team. He's a quitter. He didn't try with Joe Burrow. So let's see. Seattle cornerback Rig Woolen, who the fuck is that, agrees to a 1-year, $15 million deal to join the Eagles. Why are all the players $15, $20, $30 million now? Something's wrong here. Oh, go to the game. It's $500. I tell them all the fuck off. I'll watch the game at home. I don't need to go to the game and watch, I certainly wouldn't. I'm not a Lions fan, so I certainly wouldn't go. If I went, I would go to see. I used to go to see Brett Favre, or I'd go to see Aaron Rodgers, or Joe Montana, or something like that. Darren Lee asked Chat GPT how to deal with unresponsive person. What is that? Panthers reportedly signing all-pro linebacker Devin Lloyd from Jacksonville. Who cares? Rashad Salim stays with Seahawks. That's a good move. So the Panthers are getting some players in. They still need a quarterback, but they're starting. So they could be a little bit better next year. Keep that in mind. Tagliabue makes sense for the Falcons right now. No, he doesn't. He's terrible. Evans is a fun fit for the Niners. So Mike Evans goes from Tampa to Frisco. That'll definitely with Purdy's not bad, and then you've got McCaffrey and now Evans, so you have some balance. Kittle needs to get back from his Achilles, and they need a bunch of defense. Panthers pay up big to add edge rusher Jalen Phillips. Good luck with that. So the Panthers got Phillips, and now they got this linebacker. So they could be a better defensive team because their defense has sucked lately. I love this. Crosby's back in Oakland to rehab. Surgeon says his recovery is going well. What's the surgeon going to say? Well, sorry, guys. He's really not recovering at all. In fact, we need more surgery. Come on. Max Crosby's focus is on playing for Raiders. So now the Raiders aren't going to get the 2 first-round picks, and they're fucked. Now they don't need Reuben Bain. They got Crosby. I'd get one of these other good defensive players from Texas Tech, Ohio State, Miami. Let's see. So what was they? So what was this trade? Well, what was this pickup? Well, in other words, what did Baltimore give up Cincinnati? Or did they not have to? He's a free agent, right? So Cincinnati gets nothing. However, they save money on it is the real thing. Okay, so it wasn't a trade, so therefore they didn't give up anything. So they saved their 2 first-round draft picks. So I can see what happened is Baltimore said, hey, we can get Hendrickson cheaper. And I like they're starting to throw incentives in. Well, if you play 8 games, you get more money. Although it should be millions, not 500,000. And so they said, well, if we sign Crosby, it's going to cost us 2 first-round draft picks. It's a trade. But Hendrickson is just as good as Crosby. So there's no difference. And we saved the 2 first-round picks. So I can see what Baltimore did. I think they got to still get rid of Lamar, but without him, it doesn't matter. But I can see I didn't like the Max Crosby deal, having to give up 2 first-rounders. I'd have told Oakland I said, I'll give you a first-rounder and a third-rounder or something. You can have any of my defensive ends that you want. I remember a trade that happened between Oakland and Baltimore in the 70s. Baltimore traded Ted Hendricks, a great linebacker, for, I believe it was Raymond Chester. I believe he went to Baltimore. It was the tight end. And I always thought that was a strange trade. I always thought that Oakland got the better of it because Ted Hendricks was such a good linebacker versus having Ray Chester. Like, yeah, I can probably just get any tight end, but I can't replace Ted Hendricks. Now, Ted Hendricks was on the Super Bowl team for Baltimore that beat Dallas. He got that ring, and then he got the ring in '76 when they beat Minnesota, Oakland. But yeah, so that was also another Oakland-Baltimore trade. But I would have too. I never would have given 2 first-round picks. He's not worth it. I don't care how good he is. He's injured. And I can draft Reuben Bain or one of these Texas Tech guys. He's just as good because it's a lot less skill to be a defensive end like this guy. And again, remember the injury. He's got bad knee. He obviously needed surgery. You're not the same player after that. It just is a physical fact. You break your leg, you're not going to be the same player. These stupid mock drafts. So Romeo Dobbs goes to New England. That's a big mistake for New England. I don't think he's all that. Raiders trade Geno Smith to the Jets for a draft pick. So the Raiders are trying to get draft picks because they need offensive linemen, defensive linemen, secondary help. They're pretty, and so if they draft Mendoza, they got the running back, they got Brock Bowers, so they should be okay. Free agency will scramble NFL draft predictions for Jeremiah. Who cares? Make the draft and then we'll analyze it. Panthers reportedly signing all-pro linebacker Devin Lloyd from Jacksonville. So they got the guy from Philadelphia, the defensive end, and then they get this linebacker. So Carolina's defense should be improved, provided these guys stay healthy. So we might have to look at Carolina more as an under team because they did score. They did lose Rico Dowdell to Pittsburgh from Carolina. What was Carolina last year? So you've added 2 good defensive players, and you haven't even gotten to the draft yet. And what did we rank Carolina as? Carolina, they were an under team with the 22 defense. This is as of week 16. They played Tampa to a 23-20 game. And we had them over because we bet Tampa over. So you got Carolina, 22 defense under team. So with that, well, let's look at week 18, although it's probably the same thing. Okay, week 18, Carolina. Yeah, they're an under team. They played Tampa, and it was 16-13. Steve Young against the Baker. They had a 23 defense, and this is when I was using last fives. So Carolina, a 23 defense, no offense. Tampa, a 23 defense. They played a 16-13 game, and I played it under. Very well done. So you can see now there'll be a 18-19 defense because they were a good defense. Well, 23 is okay, not great, but now you've added 2 all-pros. So Carolina will be an under. You got rid of Dowdell, which wasn't smart, and then you've got these 2 defensive players. So we'll see who they draft. So we'll keep an eye on Carolina. So that's where you got to keep an eye on these moves. So that makes Carolina even more of an under team next year. So that's different than basketball. Can you really tell it over in an under team? Yeah, if you have Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, you're probably going to score more. I don't see that in the league now. So we will see. So, yeah, I can see why Baltimore did it. He's a free agent. That's a whole different. They would have still had to pay Crosby the same amount of money and had lost 2 picks. So, yeah, if I was Baltimore, I would have done this instead of Crosby all day. Now, how good and as safe as Hendrickson? I think he's in his 30s, so it's going to be a 4-year deal, I would have done maybe a 2-year deal and told him to fuck off. If you're any good, we'll sign you to the 3rd year. But these 4-year deals, he won't last 4 years, Hendrickson. Be lucky to last next year. If you don't play with Joe Burrow, I probably don't want you on my team because you're going to win with Joe Burrow. So what are you doing? All right. So we kind of looked at basketball. We kind of looked at football free agency, which is mostly irrelevant. Again, it's how does he fit into your scheme? I love listening to the Lions guys. Well, they need a guy who fits into the system. Yeah, how many people fit into your system, right? That's the problem. And then they're all injured. They all get hurt. So for the last 2 years, your defense has totally been annihilated. So what are we supposed to do with that, right? Your system sucks, basically. Your defensive coordinators suck. The Jets are going to suck with the Lion defensive coordinator. So what are you guys doing? Let's see. Poker. I showed you that poker hand with Vanessa Selps. She's terrible. This is the problem I have with poker. What's changed in poker is they're looking at pot odds now. They're looking at, they call it equity, whatever the fuck that means. I don't agree with pot odds. I agree with playing my hand. I don't agree with pot odds. I think it's stupid. So in other words, I'm going to make a call with 2-9 offsuit because I've got the pot odds to do it, which even if I hit the 2 or the 9, I'm not going to win. So what are my pot odds? They're not, it's like going for it on 4th down. Well, if you make it, you should make it 51% of the time. However, does that make you win or lose? If you don't make it, you lose. Just because I pick up a 1st down does not mean I'm going to win. But it's the same thing here with the equity. But what does that mean? Am I going to win the hand because of the equity, or I should call because the odds on me winning are 25%, and if I put my money in, I'm getting 30% odds, right? I'm getting 30% for my money, and my odds of winning are 25%. That could be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Playing poker that way, because you don't know what the guy has, so you don't know what your odds are. Right? The guy's got aces. I got 9-2. I guarantee you, I got about 5% chance. I got probably 0% chance of winning. Let's hope for the miracle and the flop comes 9-9-2 or 9-2 or something, and then pray that the pocket aces doesn't pick up another pair on the board. Are you insane? I look at my hand 2-9. I fold it. I don't want to know what this bullshit analytic algorithm, pot odds bullshit. I don't think that's the same thing as AI. That's the same thing as analytics. So to me, this is poker analytics. Well, you're getting the right odds to call. So I'm going to call, but you won't win. So I don't understand how they translate you're getting the right odds to call into winning. Can I win the pot? If I catch a miracle, then I got 3 spades, but I'm getting the proper that I can pray and get the 2 more spades. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't buy any of that. I think that's all retarded. It's like reading a guy. I thought he was weak. I read him as weak. Well, yeah, but I was watching some event and the guy has a full house. He's going like this, like, oh shit. And he's got a full house. He's acting. Oh, I thought he was weak. Well, I can make you think I'm weak every hand. Doesn't mean I am. And by the way, I know you're watching and I'm going to act because that's part of the game. It's like wrestling. And they tell the wrestler to sell the move. So when Hulkster drops the leg on you, you got to feel it. Or when Undertaker puts you in that pile driver, even though your head doesn't come anywhere near the mat, In other words, he's falling on his knee, but your head's, this far off from his knee. So the knee hits here, but your head's up here. He's not really dropping, as a pile driver. He's not really putting your head onto the turf. And yet it's up to you to sell it though. And that means to act like it hurt, right? Oh my God, I can't, I'm down. That's the part of wrestling that you like, is like the Ric Flair falling on his face, and he puts you in a figure four and you're down. Oh my God, that's all the selling. It's not real. That's why everybody thinks wrestling's fake. And that's what you're doing in poker, is selling that. Oh shit, oh my God, look at oh, it's terrible. Oh, he's weak. Look at him. He acted. He's weak. I acted because you're watching me and I want to appear weak. So you make a bet because I already got a full house, motherfucker. And that's the key to it. And so making bluffs because you think the opponent's weak is going to get you in a whole lot of trouble. At the end of the day, you better have a good hand. I don't really like the bluffing. I said, unless it's just, you can kind of feel that the flop comes, nobody bets. It's $2 pre-flop. Everybody sees it. And then the flop comes and nobody bets. Then the turn comes and nobody bets. Then I'm going to bet $15 on the income. And somebody probably has a pair of fives or something. And will he call? That's the only way I'm not making a big $200 bluff. Because why is the guy in the hand? So you're problem solving the hand. Well, why is he in the hand in the first place? Okay, maybe he's reading me to bluff, but I can make you read me to bluff when I'm not bluffing, or I can make you think I'm weak and I'm not weak. I saw that Brad Booth do it to Phil Ivey. Phil Ivey had kings and Brad Booth had nothing. The flop comes and Brad Booth bets like $300,000, and Phil Ivey has kings and he folds, and it was just too big a bet. Now that's a whole different strategy. That's not thinking you're strong or weak, because obviously Phil Ivey was strong in that situation, but it was the pressure of the bet. Could Phil Ivey afford the $200,000 with the kings? And that's a different strategy than I think you're weak. And because obviously Phil Ivey wasn't weak. He had kings pre-flop. So the flop came, he's got the kings. Phil Ivey just outthought himself. Instead of making the normal call, had it been 20 grand, he would have called them. But for 200 grand, he couldn't. So that's a whole different strategy. That's why you got to play with people in your own income bracket. So if I'm playing 1-3, like I did for my birthday last week, all right, some guy had $1,000 at the table, but he was betting, with these stupid straddles, $5 straddle. And it was always when I was small and blind and he was the dealer, he was sitting next to me, and he'd make it a $5 straddle. So I'm first to act now. So I can't just come in with if it was normal, it would go around the table and I'd be second to last to act, and the big blind would be last to act. And then therefore you would, you might see it as the small blind. If it's just going to be $3, you've got $1 in. You don't have a great hand, but for $2 more, I'm already in for $1. I might call it, because then I can see nobody has a hand. But if I'm first to act, I don't know what anybody else has. And not an advantage of being the small blind, but the idea I'm second to last to act, then I should know, I should be able to have that. So you're taking my advantage. So I asked him, why do you do that? You've got the button, you're last to act the whole hand. He says, well, not the flop, the pre-flop, I'm not first to act. And I looked at him like, that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. Who cares? You're still the button. So the only difference is, instead of me going first, I'm going to go, let's say there's 7 people at the table. I'm going sixth in the big blind seventh. You're going fifth, and now by doing the straddle, you're going seventh. And my point is, but it doesn't really help you. Even if I have aces, it depends what everybody did at the end. And so again, and now now it's costing you $5 and you get 2-9 of diamonds. What are you going to do? You're going to call it because you've got $5 in there. If somebody raises it to 20, you're fucked, and you're inviting that. So you're putting in $5 and I got $1 in the pot, right? Normally I can see everything. Then it comes to me sixth and then seventh. But what you're doing is you're already putting in $5. I'm only putting in one. This is a 1-3 table. There's a 2-5 table. Be my guest. Go to that one. So you're putting in 5 without seeing your hand. I think that's extremely stupid, because I want to see my hand. I have to put in the big blind and small blind. I'm not going to straddle. I want to see my hand before I make a bet into the pot. You're putting $5 in the pot without seeing your cards. And like I said, if the cards come 2-7, you're fucked. You've already put the 5 in. Now, if somebody raises you to 15, you've already put $5 in and you got nothing, which is going to happen most of the time. You're not going to get good cards, and especially right on when you're the button. So I totally disagree with that. Like I totally disagree with Phil Goffin saying, well, that girl had quads. Oh, I would always bet with quads. Have you ever played poker before? If I didn't see this guy in a tournament or on one of these cash games, I would think he's the dumbest guy I've ever seen in my life. I always bet with quads. Are you out of your fucking mind? So you want to bet and then everybody folds. Don't you want to check and then let people catch? Maybe they catch a flush. Maybe they catch a full house and you got quads. Then you get a big bet versus making the bet. I mean, that's just stupidity. So again, people are in. To me, anybody like going in has a decent hand, or you're not in the pot. And then really the action starts after the flop, right? The flop comes, now the game begins. And the 3 cards will help. Now you see, so that's why I don't understand the straddle pre-flop. You don't really know anything, right? And you're probably going to call a lot of hands you shouldn't because you already put the $5 in. And if it just checks around to you for the $5, then you don't know. Then you're already in, but you might. So if it checks around to him at $5, he's in, but he might have crap. So it's the percentage. It's the what did I call it? Where you got, well, I got the equity in the hand and the pot odds and all that shit. It's the same thing. Well, I got $5 in it. I might as well play. I got 2-7, but I might as well play because I've already got $5 in it. And now you're going to lose 100 because now what are you going to do? You're already in the hand that you shouldn't be in. People should not play bad hands. And that's what I don't do. So for me, if I do see it at $5, will it get raised to me? If it doesn't, I know everybody's got shit. But again, I don't want to be first to act. I should be last. I should be the only time I should be first to act is if the blinds are next to me and I'm next. Otherwise, if I'm the button, I'm never, ever putting that straddle on because it's not. So it's either forcing you into the hand because you've already put $5 in. So if I raise it to, let's say I raise it and make it $10, I'm first to act and I look at a pair of kings and I go $10. Although I'd probably make it 20. When it comes around to him, of course, he's going to see the hand for $10. So he's just wasted $10 because he's already got the 5 in without seeing his cards. Then he sees his cards. there's a $10 bet, and now he's calling it. And at the end of the day, it's, do you have cards? If I would have had aces and kings on them, I wouldn't have given a shit. You can straddle all. Why don't we make it a $20 straddle? But when you're getting 2-9 and 3-7, you don't want, you lose that. I can come in as the small blind, right? And that's fine. That's what I want to do, is come in as the small blind. I've already got a buck in there. I'll put 2 more in. Now I get to see a flop, and then maybe I can get a hand. That's much better. But if I got to put in $5 right away, or the guy's got aces, three guys away from me, that I would normally see his aces bet first, and then it comes to the small and big blinds at the end, and I see what's happening. But in a normal way, the card, all the bets would go along, and if all it was $3 and the whole table looked at their cards and nobody's raising, then I'm going to see the $2 and hope the big blind just checks, which you can tell because the big blind, how does he normally bet? He's normally just conservative. He puts his $3 in. He doesn't raise much. That's the problem with the straddle I have when the button does it and I'm the small blind. Because now I gotta put my money in, and then the whole table reacts. I don't want to do that. I want to see the whole table react, except for the guy next to me who's the big blind, and then I can bet accordingly. Oh, okay, I'll see a flop for $2, and that. Now some people steal it, like they play the small blind, and it's pretty much a couple guys put in $3. Then you come in with 20 with nothing, but nobody really has a hand because nobody's really raising it. So it's like $3. The button might put in his $3. I'll make it 20. Now that's different because I basically see that you don't have a hand, unless somebody's slow playing aces, which doesn't happen a whole lot. You would think that now I know they're kind of weak, so I'm going to make it. So that would kind of be how you can bluff from the small blind. But you're taking that away when you straddle as the button, and I got to act first. I don't see anybody else. So was he doing it on purpose? Was he afraid of me? Could be. He didn't want me to, he'll take me out by now I got to act first. And that's by acting. That's what they mean by positions, everything. Because if you're the button there, you would have saw everybody check or bet to you. And now you can, as a button, you got a big advantage over the small blind and big blind. Then maybe you make your bluff there, you bet 15. The problem is there's nothing in the pot. So if it's $1.03, so there's $4 in the pot, and it goes around, and maybe you get 1 or 2 guys. Now you got $10 in the pot. You're gonna bet 30 to win 10. Talk about pot odds and everything. That's a stupid bet. Because even if you bet it and everybody goes out, you only win $10. So there's no point in it. John C., great voice you have. Thank you. You should do a radio show or a channel like Sirius or something. Well, thank you. I do this. This is what you're saying. But I try to talk clean and basically very efficient and intelligent. And I don't lie because that's just stupid and it's not stoic. Like Clinton saying, we didn't kill the elementary school. Well, he should have. He knows he did. He looks like you can see his eyes looking down, and you can see he's lying, right? So he looks terrible. And then I like when he says, "Oh, we're winning the war, and our economy is the best. We got the best military in the world," and he's just cheerleading, and you can tell it's fake. That's why I don't lie, because you'll know I'm lying. There's no point in it. So that's poker. And this is why I prefer the betting, and I don't like the pot odds bullshit. So now let's say we have a pair of queens and the flop hits, and there's no ace or king, and we see what the betting is. And we make the bet. Now, if I make a $50 bet because I got queens and it comes Jack 5-2, I got queens and I bet $40. What they're saying is, well, Charlie, you got pot odds that if he bet 40, the pot odds is what, 30%, you could win. Yeah, but I got 3-7. I don't have a hand, and I don't have a chance to win. I mean, because queens could get 3 queens, or the straight or flush could come out, and so your pot odds from the flop are absolutely meaningless. You don't look at the pot. Do I have a good hand or not? I don't care what my pot odds are. Well, I'm going to bluff them. You're not going to bluff me. If I have queens and it comes out Jack 7-2, and you don't bet, I bet, and you call, there's no fucking way you're bluffing me, because you've just told me you don't have anything. Then the next card comes, and then the only way you can bluff me is, let's say there was what, Jack 7-5, and then on the river another 7 came out. Now there's 2 7s out. Now you could bluff me showing you have the third 7. But if you do have the third 7, I would not expect, well, in my game, I would expect maybe a $50, $60 bet. If you went all in on it, I would think you're bluffing, because again, you're greedy. And again, you want me to call. You always, if you have the full house, the quads, big hand, you always want me to call you, because you want to get the most money out of me that you can. So by going all in, I'll never call you. You got the pot if you're going to go all in, but be careful, because I'm going to start reading you as bluffing me, and I'm going to call you with the pair of queens. But by going all in, I'm probably not going to call you. So you're not going to win anything. You're going to bet 200 and I'm going to fold, and you didn't win anything. So it would make more sense if you bet $75 and I call the $75. Then you win 75 more out of me. So why would you go all in? It's a clear case that you're probably bluffing, but I don't want to see it. And that's where maybe these pot odds go, and you say, but then again, that's only because you know what I have and you know what he has, that you can even calculate pot odds. So poker's, one of those games. TK signed Colts defense, but Daniel Jones 2 years, $88 million. Yeah, that's pretty hard to believe. That shows you how bad the league is. There just isn't a lot of good quarterbacks out there. And I think in college, they're even getting worse, because they're getting more of these running quarterbacks that you think are good, that aren't really good passers, and nobody wants them. So you end up where it's a very weak draft. You have a lot of quarterback. Every team had a quarterback. And then this bullshit NIL where the guy, stays in college another year. Who's that guy like? What team was he on? Jesus, I don't know. I can't think of the team. Anyway, there was a guy on a team and he wanted to play and they didn't allow it. I'm sure I'll think of it in a minute. But it's keeping guys out of the draft because they're getting all this money in college. College is not professional. So I don't know why they're starting to pay the players. It's amateur. And then you're screwing up the NFL. So again, there's action reaction. So by paying Trinidad Tobago money to stay at Ole Miss or LSU, I think he's wherever the coach went, right? Or maybe he's still at Ole Miss, wherever he's at Ole Miss or LSU. But by paying him, you're fucking up the NFL. The effect is that all the NFL quarterbacks are now they're not making as much as this guy who's in college. And he's got far easier competition in college, yet he's getting paid more than the NFL quarterbacks. So I don't agree with Daniel Jones. I wouldn't pay him for $88. The guy's terrible. I wouldn't sign him. He's always injured. and he's not a very good quarterback. Okay, you could get paid on Sirius for a show like this to buy more gold and silver instead of working at a car. Well, how do I do it? You want to set it up? I'll be happy to do it. But you never know. These things are always, they sound good, but you're not sure. Yeah, I mean, teaching the economics is clear. There's a huge demand for that as people watch Peter Schiff and Reichertz and the other guy, Maloney, and who's the other guy? Andy Sheckman and Alligator. People watching them to try to get information of what's going on, which I give you real information. They don't know. They give information, but it's incorrect. They don't know what inflation is. So how are you going to get information from these bozos? Anyway, poker, a lot of the betting is to get information to see what they have. So you don't know because you can't see the two underneath cards. So you're betting because you want to get the two, you want to get information from the guy. So you bet if he calls, they're probably pretty good cards. If he folds, then you got the information. He folded. But you never know what he's got. But that's why you make some bets to see how he plays, what he's got. So you want him to tell you what he's got subconsciously. So that's the information. Everything else is pretty much the regular information. John C., did they always get paid at college, or is this something new? Something new, John C. The last few years, they shouldn't be. It's a terrible thing. It was for NIL. It was for likeness. So it was like the Fab Five were bitching about it. They were selling their jerseys and they wanted to get paid for they wanted to get the percentage. So this should be a very small amount that they should be getting. I don't know where they're getting all this millions of dollars supposedly to play. Like Texas Tech paid their guys millions. I don't know where that came from. It's supposed to be if I buy Chris Webber's jersey, he gets 50 cents out of it. And so if a lot of jerseys were sold, that was the idea. I don't know how it ballooned. And again, these are not professionals. So people that say, well, college players should get paid because the TV revenue, no, that they should not be paid. They're not professionals. They want to be professionals. You got to go in the NFL or the NBA or hockey or whatever. That's where they get paid. Those are the professionals. It's like paying me in college to let's do this class on football handicap. Well, that's kind of a business, but just to go to the class, right? To go to an economics class in my master's, you're paying me to do whatever. Oh, he gets money because he's doing economic. He does an economics class, so let's pay him $2 million. Yeah, I mean it's not professional. Do they get free tuition too? Yeah, well, that's the thing. They get the housing and the meals and the tuition and the books paid for. They get the free education. So that's what you're getting $100,000 education. You shouldn't be getting paid, or get paid, but you don't get the education. Then don't come on as a scholarship player. What a deal they get. Well, it's really only the good players. It's not the backup guard, probably doesn't make anything. So we'll see. But where's the money come from? It doesn't come from the college, it comes from the donors. Why are the donors doing this? What did they get out of it? So there's something missing here. They must get a kickback from the university for all the advertising money or whatever. All right, I'm going to go. I got a 12:15, and let's see what our gold's doing. So our silver's 85.34, down $4, and our gold It jumped back to 51.93. The 10 o'clock drop at 51.70. Well, it's holding over 51. It's one of these days, like say, Monday goes down, Tuesday goes up, Wednesday goes down, Thursday or Friday will go back up. There's no rhyme or reason to it. 85.07. So that's where it's at now. I'm not going to waste my time with the Dow. That's be it. So I'm going to get going. I'm going to be somewhere at 12:15, but it should not be too far. It's about 10 minutes. So, all right. Well, have a good day. We'll keep an eye on the free agent basketball. Looks like we're betting against Washington. The Pistons did win, so you got to watch your streaks. You got to watch the hardest part, I guess, is the players sitting out. What do you do with that? I was watching a little of the Boston San Antonio game on NBC, and this Wembanyama shooting 3-point shots, and I'm rolling my eyes, going, "What the fuck's he doing? He should never be shooting 3-point shots. He should be around the basket. He's 7 foot tall, and he's skinny as all hell. So it's just stupid. That's the problem with the league now. You have these guys doing that. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. The regular player does get screwed. The backups get screwed. And it's probably just the quarterback. The guys at Texas Tech got some money, I guess. But again, what's in it for the donor to like get the Texas Tech guys there and to get some of the, like, what's in it for whoever's paying it? Because it ain't the school, it's the donor. If it is the school, then we got problems because the school charges so much for tuition. I would never send my kids to college now. It's too expensive. $100,000. Yeah, you're gonna learn online. Good luck finding a job because AI is killing all the jobs and AI sucks. So we're gonna have a big problem, and then soon they'll realize AI sucks, and then you'll see people getting hired again. But that's why you got big unemployment. The economy sucks, and now AI, and the people are stupid enough running the businesses going, "Yeah, we'll use AI. We don't need employees." But the AI doesn't know anything. It's really stupid. All right, let me let you go. www.tjking.com. We'll keep an eye on basketball, the football free agent, the war. The U.S. has lost the war in Iran. Iran 72-0 now. And the Russia war, that's a problem. And then you've got all this problem. It's very expensive. We don't have weapons. They're very expensive. So the thought of creating a market for defense contractors to sell their weapons and let's have a war, and then people have to buy it is just full of shit. They don't have to buy it from the U.S. defense contractors. I'm sure Iran is probably buying it from the Chinese or the Russians. So I don't know about all these wars. They're very dangerous. They're very bad. Nothing good comes out of it. And I can't believe we're having wars now because the U.S. is broke. So we are broke. The dollar is worthless, and go buy your gold and silver. It's the best thing I can tell you because the collapse is happening. But you don't need to wait till it happens to realize it's happening, and then I run out and buy gold and silver. You're already a little bit late because you could have bought gold at $2,000 an ounce and silver at $25. So now it's at $5,085 on its way to $10,500. So keep that in mind. All right. Have a day. www.tjking.com. I will see you tomorrow, and just go buy gold and silver. That's all you should focus on. All right.